Hello lovely people, a very happy new year to you all. I hope you had a good one. I certainly did. I was kind of hoping to be in the garden today, but it is, well, I was about to say it's a really grotty grey day, raining, but the sun's trying to come out. Yay, no matter. Let's have a quick catch up right at the beginning of the year. I've just had 4 days off. I can't remember the last time I took 4 whole days off. I think it was it was the summer of 2017 when my sister took me to France. It's been wonderful and perfect, exactly what I needed. So I had 3 days sort of covering New Year's Eve, New Year's Day with friends, and then yesterday back home, me on my own. It was bliss. Literally all I did yesterday was just let all the thoughts and ideas run around in my mind, jot notes down. Don't try to achieve anything, don't try to do any work. Just sit with all of this that's going around in my mind. Exactly what I needed. I was saying in the New Year's vid how I don't make resolutions as such, and when the clock strikes midnight on New Year's Eve, there is no magic wand that sort of miraculously fixes our life, and everything is perfect the next day. Of course not. However, what I was saying is, for me, it's like a sort of a punctuation mark in the year, and I find that really useful. In terms of punctuation marks, sorry, I was just thinking then, it's like at the beginning of March, that's another punctuation mark. The beginning of March signifies getting back to the garden full time. Likewise, the end of October is another punctuation mark in the year that signifies it's the end of the garden being full time, it's the end of all the harvesting, processing, of the food. I love these moments in the year, and it's very sort of rhythmical, and I know where I am. They are moments to sort of pause, gather oneself, ready for the next stage or phase in life. And I particularly like this one at New Year's Eve because I always feel like I have that sense of I can leave behind what didn't work and put into action what I hope what will work. And that's kind of the theme for today, about things I'm putting into action. And when I think back, it was the New Year's Eve 2016 going into New Year's Day 2017 when I had a few days off from work because I'd worked the Christmas period. I was given the New Year period off, and it was during that time at home, I don't know, it's sort of 3 or 4 days at home on my own. All my thoughts were racing because I just knew that my knees were shot, my legs were shot. I just couldn't cope with those long shifts on the ward anymore. And it was around that time that I started to think, or started to envisage this life that I'm doing now, and thinking, you know what, I think I could make it work. And it was great. It was sort of a relief because, it's scary. It's scary to make a big change like that. But I thought, I can end this knee misery of my 13-hour shifts and start something new and be excited, and it's a possibility. Anyway, so that's the point I'm trying to make, is that I do tend at New Year's, sorry, I've still got this, whatever it is that's going on. Oh, but I've got some menthol crystals to try doing some steam inhalations. It's this time of year where it's almost like, it's like a game of chess. I don't play chess. Well, I learnt to, but I'm too impatient. Oh, it's like in life, isn't it? I'm always rushing. I want the next thing and the next thing. It's like a game of chess, whereas at the end of last year, you know, things hadn't gone to plan, of course. We have talked about that a lot. I'm not going to cover all ground, but I'd sort of found myself at the end of the year in check. So these 4 days that I've taken off, it's like I've been able to stop the clock in the game and not only work out how I'm going to get myself out of check, but also plan quite a few moves ahead to hopefully not get into check again, ever. I might do, but you see what I mean. And so today, I'm starting the clock again. I'm not going to rush doing too much today. I've got all sorts of little bits of sort of admin and, yeah, all sorts of sit-down paper, computer, jobs, get all that done and out of the way, clear my desk again. But I definitely feel like, yeah, I had 4 days with the clock stopped and I can sort of plan my next few moves. And what was really great, I mean, look, it's fabulous to spend time with friends anyway, isn't it? It's just great. And I think especially in the last couple of years when we've all socialised far less, especially sort of socialising indoors and being in quite intimate spaces, it's been so rare. So it's especially special. But what I love is when I'm with, you know, when you're with really good friends and you just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. For me, it's been great because over the last 2 years or so, and in particular last year, there's been all sorts of thoughts going on in my head about tweaks and changes I want to make in life and my sort of businesses, as it were, how I earn those pennies to pay the bills and what have you. So it's really good to sit down with good friends and just chuck ideas out and bounce them around and they come back and I can sort of tweak the idea a bit more and think, oh yeah, that could work, this could work. They can offer up ideas which I hadn't even thought of. And yeah, it's a really exciting and optimistic experience because I think it's one of those things when you live on your own, you know, I have these ideas and quite often I jot things down a lot, I write a lot, and that does help. But there's nothing like bouncing it around out loud with friends, because sometimes you say something out loud and you realise, oh no, that's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous idea. Or actually, yeah, that's not a bad idea, that could work. I'm definitely one of those people in life that does not lack for ideas, but what I always lack for is time. I think, you know, as I get older, I think, oh, I'm running out of time, there's so much I want to do. I don't mean I'm going to be turning my toes up anytime soon, but there's always so many things I want to do, I want to explore, I want to experience. I'm greedy for life, you know. I do want to do it all. The kind of running theme ever since I went wage free has always been lack of time. It's always bugging me. I've talked about it before. I think actually it's one of those things that's always going to bug me because I'm always going to want to do more than there are hours in the day to do. But I have been thinking about ways to change things up a bit in order to free up more, stop doing so much of something to do more of another thing. So I'm not about to make any grand declarations today, by the way. There are going to be you aren't going to see any changes at the moment. I mean, look, I'm moving house. Oh, please, please, please. I'm moving house this year. That is a big enough change for me to deal with this year. But I do have ideas for things I want to do. It's one of those situations where these things I want to do, I could just launch myself into it today. But in order to do that, I would have to massively reduce YouTube and all sorts of other things. And that thing wouldn't have taken off yet, so it's not going to earn me anything. And I'd suddenly be getting rid of where I do earn, YouTube, it's like, oh no, can't do that, because then it's like, how do I pay my bills? That sort of thing. You know, I was thinking about this last night, about why don't I just switch and do what I want to do. Anyway, also, sorry, lots of thoughts today. Just to say, I'm really happy with my life. This isn't making changes because I'm miserable, not at all. I want to make some changes because I am sick of the sound of myself saying, I've got no time. Broken record. Yeah, I'm aware of it. Yeah, I love my life and I love all the things I do. What I don't love is when I feel time pressures. So, you know, thinking, oh, crikey, I need to get a video made. I don't like, feeling squashed for time and having a job being outstanding and being, you know, put into next week. So, yes, I like everything I do. I just like to have more time to do it. This thing about why don't you just, you know, make change, whatever. I was thinking about this last night and thinking, why don't I just dive straight in? And I thought, oh, that's the perfect analogy, isn't it? We've had the chess game analogy. I do like an analogy. That's hard to say. An analogy. And it's funny, isn't it? We use water and swimming references a lot, don't we? Dive in, go with the flow, jump in at the deep end. Imagine, you know that I love wild swimming. Imagine that every day you take your dog for a walk along a stretch of coast, and every day you see people diving into the sea from a particular rock, and every day it looks so wonderful and such fun and glorious, and you think, I'd love to do that, I'd love to do that, I'd love to do that. And then one day you say, you know what, I'm going to do it. You leave the dog at home, you march off down to the rock and you dive in. But you don't know how to swim. You see where I'm going with this, don't you? We don't just dive in without, you know, a bit of research, arming ourselves with a few skills. So back to the diving thing, you're watching the kids doing this every day, or grown-ups. You think, I'd love to do that, but I don't know how to swim. So the first thing you're going to do is learn how to swim. And you might spend a year learning how to swim and getting confident and learning how to dive. And then you might spend a little bit of time getting to know the kids who are always diving off that rock into the sea and getting the local knowledge from them. That's the other thing to say about anything to do with water and wild swimming. Please don't ever dive into a body of water you don't know, because you don't know how deep it is, you don't know what's down there. I would say that across the board for all wild swimming, actually. Don't just get in water that you don't know. You don't know about tides and rips and all that sort of stuff. Make sure if you're going to swim somewhere for the first time, you check with locals about conditions and where's the safest place to do it, what have you. Okay, end of public safety broadcast. So yes, there are some changes being planned. And like I say, I'm not going to make any grand declarations about anything because I can't stand that, actually. Oh, slightly neg moment. You know, I've seen it on other channels and I've just unsubscribed now. They're always making declarations about something they're going to do. And 2 weeks later it's changed and now they're going to do something else. And then 2 weeks later it changes and now they're going to do something else. And basically they never see anything through. And it just kind of, it puts me off as an audience member. I just think, well, just do something, anything. Just do one thing and do it. So yeah, no grand declarations. And I don't mean this as a tease either. I just want to, it's just a bit of a work shift what I do. I just want to be able, look, this is a kind of a 2-year plan for me almost. It's a slow burner, a really slow burner. Like I said, this year I've got one really massive change coming up and that's moving house, and that is more than enough to occupy my time. So the changes I want to make in terms of my work, that's more like a 2-year plan. If I wasn't moving house this year, it would be a 1-year plan. I just want to create more time to do creative stuff with my sewing and other things like that, and just slightly change how I sell things. But all of that, any of you who are crafters will know this, absolutely know this. Sewing, making, it takes time, it takes a lot of time. And you know what, I don't mind the fact that things take time and there's not a huge financial reward for them. You know, I'm excited to get into this year. If we were being paid the national minimum wage per hour for our crafting, a string of my bunting would cost £50. You know, as a crafter, you're never ever going to, well, I don't know, some people might be, I don't know, do some people, anyway, I would have thought that as a crafter doing cottage industries, you're never going to make the kind of money that one ought to make for the hours. But it's not about that, is it? Anyway, it never has been. It's about the joy and the love of doing it. It's about the joy of seeing someone else having that thing. And if it generates enough income to both pay the bills and a little bit over in order to make life just a little bit easier, a little bit of breathing space financially, then great. So yeah, that's my plan. I want to do more of that. But to do more of that, I have to do less of other stuff. So I have to work out how I can increase one side of things and decrease the other. There are plans for it. Anyway, with that being said, this is a very long and roundabout way of saying it. And this is why I'm saying it's great being with friends over New Year, because I've been able to toss all sorts of ideas around. And like I say, a lot of what I've been thinking about and what I'm hoping and planning to do, I'm not hoping to do it, I'm planning to do it. That's the difference, isn't it? Change our wording. I don't hope to do it, I plan to do it. If I hope to do it, it's kind of like I'm not taking responsibility for it. I'm just hoping. Hope implies, for me anyway, it implies that someone else will, the gods, the fates will somehow come down and miraculously make it happen for me. No, I'm not hoping, I'm planning. Planning, yay! Yes, so like I said, all of this stuff, blah, blah, blah. But what was great being with friends is them popping ideas up which I hadn't thought of, or things that have come up before and I've thought, no, that's not a route I want to go down, and I can be a bit dismissive. I hold my hand up to that. In terms of technology, social media, all that kind of stuff, I can be a bit resistant and a lot resistant and a lot dismissive. If someone says, oh, why don't you try such and such, and it involves technology, I'll be like, no, I'm fine how I am. Just because I'm not very good with it, and it scares me, and it does my head in trying to work out how these things work. It takes me ages. But I'm going to be doing a bit of something techie. And that's the thing about having a slow burner of a 2-year plan. It gives me time to work out how to use this media, you know, to my best advantage before I launch into another phase. When I was first making videos, I remember the first few videos I made, I did the whole thing in one take. There were no cuts at all, because I didn't know how to edit. I sort of had to learn on the job. Just even things like my stills camera, because I've been using my stills camera for ages before my video camera, how to get my stills pictures from my camera into my computer. I know for most people that's going to sound ridiculous. Oh my God, did you see it's gone dark? Oh, it's getting a bit stormy. Anyway, yeah, it took me ages to work that out, and other people might think, are you kidding? You take the card out your camera, you stick it in the computer. I didn't know that. There was no one here to tell me how to do that. So yeah, I do take quite a lot of time to learn this newfangled modern age marvellous technology and social media platforms. It takes me ages. And that's okay. Once I get to a stage where, you know, I've learned enough for me to be able to just do the things I need to do, great. And sometimes, like with my video editing, I hadn't added music to anything for ages. I'd completely forgotten how to do it. I kind of mocked up on my Treats for a Tenner, It's Too Loud, but those two little bits of music at Christmas and New Year, it's like, okay, I learnt a couple of new things in my my editing software. Yay! Really slow learner. So, one of the things I'm starting now that's new to me is Instagram. I started an Instagram account. Well, I've had an account for ages. I don't know how long I've had it. A couple of years. I don't know. But I've never used it because I always thought you had to have a smartphone to use it. And I have a dumb phone. My lovely little dumb phone goes with lovely little dumb old me. So it was at the weekend, Richard said to me, no, you can do it from your computer now. And I thought, oh, that's great. And then I thought, well, what do I need Instagram for? I've got my Facebook page. And we were chatting, and I thought, actually, there are quite a few people who aren't on Facebook, they don't like that. So, okay, that's a way of communicating with them, a different way. But also, so I'm starting it now. It's not going to be flash or anything. I'm beautiful at the moment. I'm learning as I go, and it will develop over time. But it's actually, the reason I've decided to go for it and do it is it's a foundation. It's a sort of a stepping stone, if you like, to what I want to do and change in a couple of years' time. So I'm starting a foundation now so that I can grow my Instagram over 2 years before I make these changes. And it was while we were talking that I suddenly thought that could work for me in the same way that before I started YouTubing, you know, some people said to me, oh, you're an overnight sensation. Well, not sensation, no, take that word out. But I wasn't. I'd had my Facebook page, excuse me, where I shared, you know, my photographs of mostly the garden, my veg growing, sometimes some sewing, needle and thread sewing. I shared photographs, words. I also had a website where I was blogging. Usually about once a month I would do a blog. Yeah, I think it was about once a month I was blogging. So those two things, the Facebook page and the website, had been going for 2 years before I went anywhere near YouTube. And that was great because that had built up a base of, you know, followers or friends. I like to think of people as friends. And I think on my Facebook page, by the time I launched into YouTube, I think I had about 2,500 followers there. So that was great. That was an instant subscribership for YouTube. So with the Instagram, I'm hoping to, you know, reach a similar audience to who you are. Hopefully you'll come over and have a look at my Instagram. But I'm also hoping to reach a slightly different and wider audience. An audience who won't necessarily even know about my YouTube channel. I'm not doing it to promote my YouTube. I'm doing it to eventually promote what I want to do with my shop, which is more sewing and my creations. And what I really like about the idea of Instagram is it's very visual. I'm a very visual person. So unlike, say, my kitchen garden page on Facebook, where I'll quite often get into conversation, comments with people, you know, talking about, oh, it was such and such a variety sown on such and such a day and harvested on such and such. Instagram, it's not going to be about words, just the image. So I'm not going to get into comments and replying and answering questions and all that kind of stuff on Instagram, because that was the other thing I was scared of. Aren't I just making another lot of work for myself? Because I have, you know me by now, I just have to reply to everyone. I can't not. I reply to all comments and messages, and it takes hours every day. So I don't want to make more work for myself in that way. It's purely going to be visual, no words. I can enjoy playing with my sort of visual creativity and that side of myself. And like I said, reach a slightly different audience for later down the line when, as I said, my sewing and things, I want to be doing more of that. Oh my goodness. Did I want to... Was there anything else I wanted to mention in particular? No. So yes, that's a long roundabout way of saying, yay, a whole new year has started. I'm dead excited. I started yesterday in my, I'm not working, I'm not trying to create, I'm not trying to be productive. I think it was productive though, actually. I started to make a list of absolutely everything that I think I need to do and want to do in the coming however long, few months, sort of 6 months. I'm kind of, excuse me, I'm thinking of this year in two halves in a way. Hopefully if I can get moved by the summer, give myself the first 6-7 months. It's all about this flat, get it ready, find a new flat, you see what I mean. Suddenly realised I've got quite a lot to do to be getting on with. I think this year is going to be a bit manic, it's going to leave me a little bit ragged around the edges, trying to fit it all in. My priorities will be, obviously, the house move and all the things associated with it. The garden, that's always going to be my priority because it's my food and I'm a greedy piggy and I like my food. And my third one is to, keep YouTube going in a good way because that pays my bills. I think that's the other thing about making changes. Obviously, we're going to talk about this more as time goes by, into next year. But the thing with YouTube as well, I think especially with the gardening side of things, I don't want to get stale and I don't want to just be making the same videos over and over again. I don't think I will, because I think firstly I'm too chatty. I'm always having new ideas and getting excited about different things. But I just want to make sure that I don't stand still and therefore that my channel doesn't stand still, because you know what, that's just going to get boring for all of us, isn't it? Right, this was supposed to be a quickie. No such thing. Oh, just before we go, I wanted to say, yes, I've had a bit more Christmas post. Nancy, thank you, lovely. And this one was from, I've got to be careful how I hold it up, Claire. She sent me, this is ironic, she sent me a little scratch card to play with. Yay! I gave the chaps a scratch card each as well. They are now millionaires. We're never going to hear from them again. They're millionaires. Yeah, as if. Nah. But also, this one was from, was it Vanessa? Yes. It's all gone already. It's like a little card, but in here were 4 rolls of, I've put an empty wrapper in so you could see what it was, Parma violets. She sent them to me and she said, I'm sure you mentioned Parma violets in a video. Yes, Vanessa, well remembered, I did. It's when I was talking about clutter busting and I got rid of a book from my childhood best friend and I said it's okay because I've still got all her letters and bits, one of which is in a Parma violets box. So really well remembered because that was from the end of November. Anyway, as you can see, there were 4 little rolls, mullered the lot, loved them. Oh, Parma violets, gorgeous. So yeah, how weird. Christmas is still arriving. Right, Christmas is still arriving, but I am going, that's it. Next time you see me, Oh, the weather's not looking great at the moment, but I have some garden themed videos to bring. I'm just looking at stuff that's sitting over there. There's some gardening stuff to get on with: seeds, planning, lessons learned, how to carry those lessons forward, changes I'm going to make in the garden. Yay! I love this time of year. You know, the glorious thing about planning, for me at least, what I love about making a plan and all this planning in general is, right now, there's nothing to say that I can't make the most fabulous plan, dream the most fabulous garden and have it. There's nothing to say that won't happen. Right now, I'm going to plan the perfect garden, and I'm going to plan the perfect life for myself. And you know what? Later on, something will come along and scupper that, the weather, blight, a life event, whatever it is. But in this moment, there's nothing to stop me planning the best, the perfect, the most dreamy. Oh, I love it. Right. I need to go. I will see you all again really soon, I hope. It's probably going to be indoors, though, again, because of the weather. But hopefully something more gardening-y, because I know there's not been a lot of garden stuff for you lovelies who tune in for the gardening. We'll see. Whenever it is, it will be. In the meantime, please stay well. Enjoy getting excited about your plans. Maybe you're planning a first ever garden this year. That's exciting. Whatever it is, just what's the word for it? I can't think. I'm too giddy today. Just, wallow in the loveliness of the excitement. Until next time, lovely people, cheerio.